This man never could have imagined that he'd end up reincarnating into another world alongside his gorgeous female boss. In their previous life, she constantly worked Leo to the bone, treating him like a personal slave every single day, ordering him around however she pleased. It was a chapter of his life he'd rather forget. While Leo was completely lost and overwhelmed, his boss, Sophia, had already adapted to this new world with surprising ease. Having arrived first, she'd already chosen her class, a Valkyrie, capable of wielding both spears and magic. Sophia wanted to invite Leo to party up with her. She'd gotten so used to bossing him around back in their old life that she expected the same arrangement here, even demanding that he pick a class that suited her needs. But Leo had no intention of going back to being her personal errand boy, and he politely turned her down. This hit Sophia hard, and she walked away on her own. Leo then made his way to the guild counter to choose his class. After getting a rundown from the receptionist, he decided to go with the most in-demand role, a support. Supports were responsible for casting buff and healing magic for their teammates. But the moment Leo wrote down his chosen class on the registration panel, a flash of light erupted and the text turned into complete gibberish. The receptionist had never seen anything like it and had no idea what class it represented. But she went ahead and approved his application anyway. Leo was freaking out. He'd become an adventurer without knowing a single thing about his own class. The receptionist told him to keep it under wraps, since classes with unknown abilities usually made it impossible to find a party. But she also felt partially responsible for guiding him into this mess. So, as compensation, she handed him a few mercenary vouchers which he could use to recruit low-level mercenaries while he figured things out. Once outside, Leo pulled up his skill list. His abilities granted allies a +10 boost to both attack and defense, and restored 5 HP over 30 seconds. There was one last skill that seemed to be some kind of alert ability, but Leo couldn't quite figure out what it actually did. Leo then headed to the mercenary hall and met with the captain in charge. His vouchers weren't exactly high tier, they only covered demi-human mercenaries, and the only one left was a lizard folk. Leo had pictured lizard folk as something pretty intimidating, but at least sturdy enough to feel safe around. Instead, the captain brought out a human-looking girl and casually claimed she was the lizard folk. No matter how Leo looked at her, she was clearly human. As it turned out, Emma had indeed been human in her past life. After being killed by a monster deep in the dungeon, her soul had become trapped in her body, leaving her unable to speak, running purely on instinct. People like her were classified as demi-humans. After hearing Emma's backstory, Leo felt even worse about sending her into battle. He figured he'd just test out his skills real quick and then send her back. The two of them had barely stepped into the dungeon when they ran into a rescue squad that specialized in pulling injured adventurers out of danger. The squad leader gave Leo a heads up, while Emma could protect him. She could only handle low-level monsters. If they ever crossed paths with a named monster, he absolutely had to run. Leo took that to heart. Before long, they reached an open stretch of forest when suddenly, a cute little bouncing fluff ball caught their eye. The system identified it as a level 1 wool ball. The moment Emma spotted it, she whipped out her short blade. Before Leo could even react, the fluff ball launched itself straight at him. Fortunately, Emma jumped in and blocked the hit. But that seemingly adorable little creature packed a seriously devastating punch. A single strike knocked off a third of Emma's HP, and she was a warrior, one of the tankiest classes around. Leo suddenly realized that if that hit had landed on him, he'd probably be dead. Before he could even process that thought, the fluff ball came charging again. At that moment, Leo was nothing but dead weight. Emma kept throwing herself in front of him, and her HP kept dropping. In that moment, Leo felt deeply ashamed. He was being protected by someone so young. He stopped cowering and activated his defensive support skill on Emma. Instantly, a barrier materialized in front of her, and it actually held against the fluff ball's attack. Emma seized the opening and split it clean in two with a single strike. Battle over. Leo thanked Emma from the bottom of his heart. Without her, he'd probably be dead. He swore that from that moment on, he would be the one protecting her. But just then, they heard the sounds of a struggle nearby. They went to check it out and found Sophia, Leo's former boss, locked in a brutal fight. Her opponent was a crimson-colored wool ball, a named monster.